Amy James-Turner's career has taken her from youth football in Yorkshire to the North West, Liverpool, Manchester United, then a season in the NWSL with Orlando Pride, to North London, where Amy helped Tottenham make history in the Women's FA Cup, reaching the final of the competition for the very first time. Not content with having impact on the pitch, Amy's also doing so off it, representing and driving the voice of women's football on climate.
Hey Amy, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Hang on, you didn't tell me about this. Bringing a portable friend along. Who's this?
Betsy comes everywhere with me, so she wanted to come and meet you, David.
Oh,
it's just started
come on. All right, listen, great season for Spurs. How's it been?
Yeah, it's been a great season, like you said. So many ups and downs, but so pleased with where we are this season compared to where we were last season. So, yeah, really happy.
So you've done this report. Tell me, what was the process and who did you speak to?
You know how I've been using my voice to promote sustainability initiatives, and yeah, I'm really passionate about this space, and I thought, how do other players in the game feel about this? You know I spark conversations in the dressing room, and I know it's very much me starting these conversations, but I felt like there was an interest there, and you know, women's football, there's so many great advocates in the game, and I thought, you know, I'll have a chat to my teammates, I'll see what they're thinking, where could we go with this?
It's starting to rain.
Yes,
I think we need some coffee. Shall we go?
Yeah, let's
go and meet some new players then.
113 surveys completed, 36 clubs represented, 10 in-depth interviews and 3 close friends and colleagues here with Amy to give the stories behind the stats.
So how do you think climate change and the issues of climate change is affecting playing conditions on the field?
I'll never forget when I was over in the US, I was in Seattle at the time, and there was really bad air pollution, and you know, the orange sky, yeah, it was just crazy conditions to be playing, and you're driving to the game, you can barely see. You know, the government put out messages for everyone to stay home and not exercise outside, and then there's us driving to matches, and the game was going ahead. And the solution from the league was to put oxygen tanks on the sideline and to have a break every 15 minutes in the match, and the 15-minute increments like absolutely killed me. You know, got used to it, got used to having these like mini breaks through the season, and then as soon as we got back to playing a whole match in 45-minute halves, it felt like the longest game ever.
I can't even imagine as a coach preparing your team for 15-minute break, like every 15-minute breaks, because can you imagine what the momentum that does to the game? But I remember when we were in Louisville on pre-season tour, and some of our players were overheating because we were playing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and the humidity was so high.
If you're playing in these extreme heats and you're a high-pressing team, okay, maybe you can't do that at these extreme temperatures. We want to put on a show of women's football that's exciting to watch, and if you're looking sluggish, if you're not playing at your best, it's not a good representation of the game. Exactly.
Yeah. Being in England, we've obviously experienced extreme weather, but probably the opposite. Like, we've had a lot of rainfall in this country, and I've got a younger sister who's had more games than ever been called off at grassroots level because they've all been waterlogged, and it obviously is affecting us still because games are still being, you know, cancelled even in our league. So obviously something needs to change.
A priority is the environment to football clubs, and why? What's your experience of that, Vicky?
Just being at Tottenham, I've had an insight to some of the things that they're doing. And a simple one, I think, which is anybody could do, is just getting rid of plastic bottles. We have hydration stations all across Hotspur Way and across Lily White House and at the stadium.
Yeah, I think Spurs do a great job of highlighting these issues, but I feel like we could hear a little bit more from them. Like, did you know these things before you went searching?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you know, you look at the training centre and the little bug houses positioned around the training pitches to house, you know, the natural habitats there, and
the kitchen garden.
The kitchen garden, yeah.
Growing their own vegetables.
Yeah.
Amy knows more than me there.
Can I ask a little bit about kit? Could there be less?
I think there is, obviously, like, we accumulate as players and obviously coaches an abundance of kit. I think for, you know, at my old club, Reading did the climate stripes for that season that I was there. And again, that would have been quite a cool shirt to carry on and try and promote that message of, of climate change and what, environmental factors are impacting us.
I think about how many people rock up in the retro shirts, and I think that's had such a positive impact on.
I mean, the Bruce Banana at Arsenal, right? From the late 80s, early 90s, that's the coolest retro kit going, right?
It is.
Apologies, Spurs
Should have
people,
just stuck with that for decades. We would have saved so many jerseys. Yeah.
What about flying to games? People talk about this a lot. When we talk about climate change, particularly with the Premier League, right? We go, oh, well-paid footballers, private jets, chartered flights, all this sort of stuff. But it's tricky, isn't it?
I'm not saying it's right, but I certainly don't think it's completely wrong, because we talk about marginal gains in performance. Sometimes, if you've got a travel however many hours, say you're going Bournemouth to Newcastle, for example, it's so much quicker to get a plane there. Then your athletes are there and they're rested and they've got their feet up, and then the recovery starts quicker.
If you ask any player probably in the league, would you rather get there in 2 hours or 6 hours, every player would say the 2 hours. Our job is to deliver excellence on the pitch, and that is what we're paid to do. I think kind of what Vicky said, it's almost those marginal gains that we're kind of going to have to figure out, how do we still get those gains, but also can we be sustainable doing it? I don't know if it's a case where everybody's the same, where nobody flies into domestic games, and that's how it should be.
And the pressure and stress of playing at this level and coaching at this level, to add climate change into the mix as well, it's quite daunting and overwhelming. And if you think about what we face on a day-to-day basis, it's a yo-yo of emotions, and to throw something else into the mix, it's tough.
Amy, that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. What have we learnt from it, do you think?
I think the biggest thing we've learned is that players do care. They do want to see changes. They're passionate about this subject, and we actually had a lot of fun with that. I think this is a very dark topic, and it is very overwhelming. But as you've seen from today, it's a conversation starter, and it felt like everyone in the room was contributing to the conversation. And I came away really inspired and feeling really positive about this.
So, what would you like to see next? Where do we go from here?
I think, I'd like to see women's football take a lead on this. I think the game has come so far, and we've led the way, for change in so many great areas. Could we also see women's football take the reins on sustainability as well? I'd like to think so. Could we get the male players involved as well? Could those be our allies? Could we tackle this together almost? And I think short term, I'd love to see, 5 takeaway messages to send out to every club, WSL and Championship. Okay, these are 5 simple steps you can start tomorrow to be a little bit more sustainable.
Fantastic. Congratulations on the report. Really enjoyed it. Betsy, she's done well, hasn't she? She's done really well. That's a yes from Betsy.